Hello, BookTube. Hello, friends. Welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it's Friday, so it's time for Friday Reads. Now, I have finished 6 books since the beginning of October, which may not sound like quite as many as I thought I might get done by this point. Today is October the 9th, and I am still on track for reading a book a day this whole year. Today is the 283rd day of the year, and I have so far finished 284 books. So I'm still on track, and I am going to be listening to a lot of short books on the Audible Escape package later in the month, and I might do a little bit of vlogging. I noticed that there is a Dewey's 24-hour readathon coming up, I think on October 24th. So that might be a really good day to try to cram in as many short books as I can. And thankfully it's the 24th and not the 17th, because we have finally rescheduled our garage sale. You guys who've been following me a while, you know I've been talking about doing a garage sale for a couple of years. And then we finally had a community yard sale scheduled for April 4th. And then, of course, COVID happened and we had to cancel it all. So I have invited a few neighbors to join in. I'm not sure exactly how many are going to do it or not. I've got to find that out maybe tomorrow. But anyway, we are going to have it rain or shine, do or die. It's going to happen because it just has to. My husband is just like over it already. And October 16th is our wedding anniversary. And honestly, I think that's about the best anniversary gift I can give to him, is to follow through on this garage sale and get this done. So you may not see too many videos between now and then. I am going to do a book review of an ARC that I received that just came out a couple of days ago, and I finished that, and I've got maybe a tiny book haul. And other than that, maybe another Friday Reads next Friday, although if I don't get that done, you know, you'll know I'm having a yard sale next Saturday, so it might be Saturday night or Sunday afternoon before I can tell you about what I've read in between now and then. But I think I can still get several audiobooks done between now and then, because while I am setting it up and just getting everything sorted and ready, I could still be listening to audiobooks. But meanwhile, let's get back to what I finished this week. I'm not going to tell you about what I plan to read next, because I've got so many things I want to start that I don't even know which direction I'm going to go as soon as I finish what I'm currently reading. But I have brought all my current reads in here and the books that I have finished since October 1st. I didn't do a Friday Reads last week because it was so close to the beginning of the month, and I had just, you know, I was doing my monthly wrap up and all that, so I figured I'll just, you know, this is going to take over what I did, you know, take over. This is going to cover what I've read in the last 9 days up to today. Okay, so the first book I finished, I went ahead and got my Series of Unfortunate Events book done at the beginning of the month. I went ahead and just listened to it on audio because I have so much going on this month. That was just the best way to do it. This is book number 10, The Grim Grotto. So this was not my favorite, maybe because a lot of it took place underwater, and I'm not a water person. So it was, I don't know, it gave me some anxiety there. But anyway, still, this has been a really good series. I hesitate to call it a fun series because it's, you know, a lot of bad stuff happens, but it's so fantastical and unrealistic that, you know, now that I'm getting towards the end, I'm beginning to wonder, how is this going to end? Is this going to have any kind of a happy ending? Because they tell you right from the beginning that, you know, this book is not going to have a happy ending, you know, and each book doesn't, but maybe the end, maybe it will. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, then I got some other news. Okay, you guys know I've talked about Audible Escape. Well, Audible Escape is ending November 1st, and so that's where I thought all my audio focus was going to go for this month. But even since I showed my TBR, several more of the books on my Audible Escape wish list have popped up on Hoopla. And somebody asked in a comment, or they said they weren't familiar with Hoopla. That is a library resource. So if you download Hoopla, look and see if your library subscribes. If you can't find it, go to your library and say, hey, can you subscribe to Hoopla so that I can take advantage of these great titles? And not every library has to subscribe to all of Hoopla. They can pick and choose what they want. So there may be things on there that your library doesn't subscribe to, and that's just kind of, that's just part of the deal. So anyway, a lot of things have popped up on Hoopla that I can now remove off of my Audible wish list and get to later, because there was just no way I was going to get to all of those books. So I keep paring it down gradually, and there is now a much more manageable number of books that I plan to do on Audible Escape, or listen to on Audible Escape. Meanwhile, I pulled up RB Digital, which is another library resource like Hoopla, and there was a little message that said RB Digital is going away on October 13th. All of the titles will, after that, be available on Overdrive and Libby. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's fine. But just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, but there's some stuff on RB Digital that is on my 20 by 20 challenge. I've been putting it off. I better just get that done, just in case some things fall through the cracks. It'll probably all be completely fine. And I had a pretty big wish list on RB Digital, and so I went through that, and I pared that way down, comparing what is already on Overdrive and what's on Hoopla and all of that. And now I have maybe still 12 or 14 books that are not a high priority, and those, I'm just going to make a list of them because it said your wish list will not transfer. So I've got to make a list, on paper of those books so that I'll remember to go back later and add those to my Overdrive wish list whenever they pop up on Overdrive. But there were four books on RB Digital that I decided to go ahead and listen to right now. They were available. I didn't have to go on hold for them or anything like that. And three of them finishes up a series for me that I started several years ago, and I didn't reread the first book because I thought I just don't have time. I remembered enough about it, and so I didn't read it. But the series is by Scott Westerfeld. The series is called Uglies, and I have already listened to Uglies on audio, like I said, several years ago. So I jumped right into Pretties, and this was really good. I did enjoy it. And this is basically about a world where it's, when you turn 16, you get this surgery to turn pretty. And whenever you get the surgery, they realized, I shouldn't give spoilers because let me just say, along with that comes some mind-altering kind of things. So there's this main character, Tally, who is undecided about whether she wants to get the surgery, and one of her friends doesn't want to get it, so they run away, and they discover that there's this whole world outside of their own small world that people are ugly, and they don't mind being ugly. So it goes from there. Anyway, so then we get to Pretties, which is about the same main character and what has happened to her after Uglies. And then, I don't have a dust jacket on this one, but this is called Specials. This is book 3. Still, we have the same main character, and this now is about what happens to her after Pretties. And so she is pretty fierce, actually. So this was very good as well. Then that sort of wraps up Tally's story. Tally is the main character, Tally Youngblood. And this next book, Extras, has a different main character, but Tally does come back into the story. And this one, more than about how you look, this one sort of takes a look at social media and the need for people to be famous and to be recognized and have notoriety and things like that. So I really, really liked this one. I thought this was very good because it's a very good look at how we can get so caught up in, in likes and, like and subscribe and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, it really kind of hits home. So I really enjoyed this. You would not have to read the others to read this, but I think in order to really get a grasp of the world, because there are several characters from the first 3 books that come back into this. So I think it's a good idea to read the whole thing, but you wouldn't absolutely have to. They give enough backstory, I think, about Tally and her friend Shay that you could read this one if you just wanted to pick this up. But anyway, this is called Extras. Scott Westerfeld is the author. There's also a little companion book that I would like to read before the end of the year. It's called Bogus to Bubbly, and those are both terms that you learn in the series. You learn what those mean. And I couldn't lay my hand on it when I was getting my books out. Well, actually, I have a kind of a staging area in my living room, a little shelf where I put everything that I'm reading in the current month. And when I did that this week and put all my books that I want to read, for the next few weeks, I couldn't find that book. And so it's probably buried in the back of my shelf in here. You guys know, if you ever seen any of my bookshelf tours, these are not double stacked, but my big bookshelves in the utility room are all double and triple stacked. So it's probably just behind something. Although I tried to look and I couldn't find it. Anyway, I don't need to ramble about that. I hope to find that and read that because I don't think it's on audio, and it's just a short book. So I want to get that read at some point before, while I'm still thinking about this series. So then I finished up a book for book club. Also, this one doesn't have a dust jacket, but we tried to discuss this book yesterday. This is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco, and it's a chunker. I listened to this on audio, and I was the only one who was there at book club that actually finished it, and I finished it up on like 2.5 times speed just to get it done. But most of the people who were there were interested in finishing it. It's just such a big book and it's very wordy, so they just didn't have time to get it done. So when we meet back next week for our regular literati book club, then we'll also chat a little bit about this one as well. So anyway, I would probably rate, I think I did rate this 3 stars. It's about Italian monks in an abbey, and some monks are murdered, and there is a man there who comes to investigate. So it's kind of gruesome. I mean, I guess barbaric would be a good word to describe life back in those days. A lot of people were persecuted for their beliefs and for the belief that they were heretics and things like that. So it gets kind of gruesome in a lot of places, but it's also just very long and drawn out. So I think in comparison, the only book I've ever read that I would kind of compare to this is one of the books by S.J. Paris in the Giordano Bruno series. It was the 3rd book called Sacrilege, which we read for the very early days of our mystery book club, a long time ago before I was the leader. And I remember reading that book and thinking, this is really good. I got into the thriller aspect. I mean, I thought it was a little more suspenseful and thrillery than this one, even though this was gruesome, but not, I don't know, I just didn't love it. And the other one I thought was better, just in comparison. Now, it was published, I think, in the early 2000s, and this was published in 1985. So, there's a different time frame, coming from different eras, not eras, but different decades, that kind of thing. Although they're set in similar decades, just, different authors, different writing styles. Also, this, I think, was written originally, I don't know, I think this is a translated book. I can't remember now what it was translated from, maybe Italian, I'm not sure. So that could also have something to do with it. Maybe we lost something in the translation. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't love it, but it was okay. It has really high ratings, like over, I think I want to say it's on Goodreads, it's like a 4.15 rating or something like that, a 4.12. And the S.J. Paris books are not rated as high, but these have a lot more ratings because this book has been around for so long. I also have the movie checked out. I stopped by a different library after our book club. I saw that the town about 8 miles from my regular library had it on the shelf, and so I just drove over there and picked it up, and I'm gonna watch that before our next meeting next week, just to see if I can sort of get more of the characters straight. I think that will help a lot, and hopefully it'll kind of follow the book somewhat. Okay, so I've been rambling long enough, and I finished one other book, and this is the book I'm going to do a book review of, because the author sent me this book. This is Boop and Eve's Road Trip by Mary Helen Sheriff. I did finally finish it. This was just released, I believe, October 6th. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself in my video review, but I want you to watch the review, because I'm not going to talk a lot about it right now, but I will tell you that this is the book that by the end of chapter 2, I was so mad about what was happening that I threw the book on the table. That being said, while I didn't love the book as a whole, I see now, and that's why I didn't even tell you what book it was back then, because I wanted to read the whole book and get the whole picture. This is a women's fiction book. This cover is so beautiful, it might lead you to believe that, and even the title might lead you to believe that this is a funny book. It's not funny. There are a couple of comical moments, but this is basically a women's fiction book about 3 generations of women, the youngest being in college and the oldest being the grandmother, who was maybe in her 70s, 60s, 70s, I'm not sure. And then it's about, well, I'll tell you, it's about the mistakes that they have made in their life and what they're doing to work through them and how they're healing. So that's what it's about. What made me throw the book is because of there's a really, what I consider just the stupidest of mistakes that the college student did in the 2nd chapter. And then that actual event was not even referred back to at all. But I see now, after reading the whole book, why it was there, because it was just laying the groundwork for her mental and emotional stability at that point, and kind of showing where she was, and that sort of was the starting point so that we could watch her grow from there. And I get that. There's also a little bit of foul language, which you guys know I'm not a fan of. But overall, I took this book into our librarian yesterday, our head librarian, and I said, I think you need to order this book. And she looked at it. She's like, oh, I want to read this. And, so she's going to order it. She's going to read it. And I'm going to recommend this for our book club. I think this would be an excellent book club book, because there's so many things that can be unpacked in it. So many discussion points. So I don't want to say any more, but I would invite you to check out my video review of this as soon as it's up. It probably won't go up until after a day or two later after you see this video. But anyway, Boop and Eve's Road Trip by Mary Helen Sheriff. I don't know. I know for sure you can order it on Amazon, and it's also available on Kindle, on ebook. I don't know if it's in bookstores. The publisher is not one of the big 3 publishers, but it is a publisher that publishes books, especially by women. It's called She Writes Press, and that is, that's a publisher that really focuses on women's fiction, books for women, books by women, that kind of thing. So I would definitely invite you to support the author. This is her debut novel, and check out this book. And if you do read it, let me know what you think about it. So anyway, that's enough about that for now. Check out my video that is coming very soon. So what else I am currently reading on audio in my car, I am listening to The Syndrome. This is book 7.5 in the Kingdom Keeper series by Ridley Pearson. I like this one so much better than the last 3 or 4 books in the series. So much better. This is from the perspective of the girls that are called the Fairleys in the series. They are not Kingdom Keepers, but they help them, and each one has a different sort of magical power, and I don't think they've ever explained how they got those powers, but this is really good, and I love it much more than most of the other parts, at least the last several books in the series. But you kind of need to read the other books in the series to understand what's happening there. So the other book I'm listening to on audio, I just started early this morning. Finally, this is The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Colfer. It is, the audiobook is narrated by him, and he does a great job. This has some really funny comical moments. I'm not real far in. I haven't even looked in the book to see where I am audio-wise, but I started this late last night and then picked it back up this morning in between Emily doing e-school. I think I listened to some of it during her lunchtime, and I am really enjoying it. So I would definitely recommend this. I have 5 of the 6 books in the series on my shelf. They've been sitting around forever. This is the other book on RB Digital that I've been wanting to get to. The audio of these books are not anywhere else that I can see. So this one probably will be transferred over to Overdrive, but, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that I got to listen to, you know, got started on this series while I still had access to an audio copy. And then I looked at my library, and I think book 4, randomly, our library has on CD. So I know that I'll be able to get more of them on audio eventually. But anyway, I'm listening to this right now on RB Digital, and then I'll be done with everything I'm going to listen to there, and I can move over to my Audible Escape books. So in print, I have 4 books currently going. One is my Year with C.S. Lewis book. I didn't even bring it in here. I read a page a day in that. I'm also reading one of the Sunshine State books for this school year. This is Scouts by Shannon, Greenland. I opened this up and there was a foreword by James Patterson, and I thought, what does James Patterson have to do with this? And I realized then it is a James Patterson Presents book. So it's a Jimmy book. And this does not refer to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Particularly, this is a group of kids, and they have named themselves Scouts because their town does not have an actual scout troop. So they have this little club, and they call themselves Scouts. And then also during my morning devotional time, I did start one of my TBR jar books. I started with this one since this is my anniversary month. October 16th is our wedding anniversary. This will be 22 years. Anyway, so I decided I would read The Language of Love. And now that I'm reading it, I'm about half done with it now. I may have read this before, but it's great. I'm really enjoying it. This is about building and using word pictures to express your needs and emotions or whatever to another person. And it's very good. And I'm happy to say that I have been reading more of the Annotated Hobbit. I just read a chapter today and yesterday, and I think a chapter earlier in the week. So now I am on chapter, it's in Roman numerals, 9, and they have just gotten, I'm at the beginning of chapter 9. So I just finished chapter 8, which was Flies and Spiders, which incidentally was the subject in Emily's e-school today. They were talking about bugs and insects today. So I'm sitting there going, and that's my chapter today too. So anyway, I'm excited to finally be getting more read of this. Of course, I've read The Hobbit, I think like 3 times in my life already. And I just wanted to read this annotated version. The annotations are very interesting. The illustrations are also very interesting. They have illustrations that are from a lot of different editions from different countries. And I have really been enjoying that. I'll show you more of that later. I should have picked out some specifically to show you. Anyway, that's what I'm currently reading and what I have finished this past week. I could go a lot of different directions as far as what I'm going to pick up next. And I'll just have to share that with you later on in another video. So for now, that's all I have for my Friday reads. Let me know what you're reading, and if you have read or want to chat about any of these books that I talked about today, please comment below. So that's all for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.